So now that we've covered a little bit more about headings as well as line breaks and how to split up your paragraph, let's go into editing the text. For example, what if I wanted to have rows stand out using bold? Well, I can just go ahead and do B and copy and paste rows into that. So now if I run this, rows will show up as bold. Now, another way you could do this is by using strong instead of B. So B is for bold, but also strong is another tag that places emphasis on a word or whatever you want it to be, and also bolds that, but it places a little bit more emphasis, like the reader should actually pay attention to that. Though it really doesn't matter once we start learning CSS, because we're supposed to use that to beautify our web page anyways, right? So let's say I want to place emphasis or make this one bold, but I wanted more emphasis on self-development, right? I wanted my readers to pay attention to this. Then I would use strong. So I'm going to copy and paste self-development into that. Now, if I run this, hit play. As you can see, rows and self-development are both bolded. For rows, I just used B and then used strong for self-development. On the surface, it looks the same, but it is a little bit different. You can go ahead and research that if you'd like. Now that we've learned a little bit more about how to bolden things, we can also italicize using HTML. And how we can do that is I. So opening and closing tags, and then we're going to drag that into there. So that's one way to do it. And then we can emphasize using EM. Let's say I wanted to put an emphasis on all, right? I'd go into here, I'd say EM, and then drag all into this. So, or this is how it's supposed to work. I took a deep dive into learning all about finances. Now, if I put my emphasis on finances, it would kind of read like this. I took a deep dive into learning all about finances. You know how I placed a little bit of emphasis on finances or all? That's kind of how EM and italics work, but they both look the same. So if I run this, it's gonna pop up Google Chrome. You can see that learning is italicized as well as all. Moving on from italics, we have the mark tag. With the mark tag, anything in between the opening and closing mark tag gets highlighted. So let's see that in play. So let's say I wanted to highlight HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's start off by creating our mark tag and then dragging everything into there, except for the period. So if we run this, you can see that we have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript highlighted in yellow. It's kind of like we're working with a text editor, right? So now that we've learned a little bit more about the mark tag, how about the strike through tag? So we can use the S tag to go ahead and strike through any text or phrase that you'd like to strike out. So if I run this right over here, then A has a line straight through it. So that's one way to do it, but there's also another way you can have that strike through go somewhere. So let's say I wanted to delete dive, right? Or deep. So I will type delete, and then anything inside this will have a strike through it. I don't think it actually deletes the, yep, there we have it. We can't have a delete tag without an insert tag. So let's say I wanted to replace deep with, I don't know, deeper, right? We can go ahead and do that by doing an opening tag and type INS and do its closing tag and type whatever you want inside there. So if we played this or run this, we replace deep with deeper, and anything you insert is usually underlined. Which reminds me, you can also underline things. And can you guess what tag that is? If you guessed you, then you guessed correctly. So let's say I wanted to underline both researched all. If we refresh this, look at that! You're practically a pro. I kind of went over almost everything. Stick around because there's just a few more that you may need to know. The last two things I'm going to teach you is the superscript and the subscript. So what is superscript? How I think of this is super is like, yay, I'm high, right? Super. And then sub is like submarine, bottom. So let's say I wanted to have a number have a power to something, right? So to the power of 2, then I would do sub 2. That's soup. So if I play this, or if I run this, then as you can see, power is the power of 2 on top of it. So if let's say you were working with logarithm, you just change soup to sub, you refresh that, and as you can see, that is the subscript. Power, and then 2. That kind of covers everything. Just to recap, in this video, we've gone over bolds, italicizing items. We've gone over highlights, underlines, strike-throughs, superscripts, subscripts. What didn't we go over, right? So if you've learned a thing or two with this video all about HTML formatting, go ahead and give me a like so that we can go ahead and keep on producing content. I mean, I'm probably going to do it anyways, but still, it would help me a whole lot. And go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to reach a subscriber count goal of 550. So could we do that? And comment if there's anything that I can improve on. That'll be somewhat more helpful to you. If you want me to remove the cameras, all in all, I will take feedback, suggestions. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. I'm RoseyLikeMe, Roseline, Code with Rose, Zoom and Game, all of that stuff. Without further ado, goodbye. 안녕. 잘 가. 再见